Something very unique at this point in Sonmarg is we have three ethnicities living so close to each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
So Nilgrar is a Balti village,
yeah.
Sarbal is a Dardi village,
Acha.
and Sonmarg is a Kashmiri village. And that's very unique, sir. And you could see Balti women going down to collect grass and fodder. So this is Nilgrar, this is a Balti village, and historically this used to be this is actually the first Trans-Himalayan passes. This is the Nilgrar Gully.
Okay.
That will take us across to a place very close to Upper Telaine, but crossing the main Himalayan range. This is the famous Cochrane Nala. Few years ago, there was a flash flood and it swept the bridge also.
Okay.
Far out. Honk on the vent. It's a very historic pass, sir. It's actually one of the lowest Himalayan passes. One of the lowest Himalayan passes from Kashmir and the upper Kishtwar Valley to pass into the Little Tibet side with an elevation of only about 11,500. That makes it one of the lowest, and it's one of the most easily motorable Trans-Himalayan passes. We do have the others, Himachal side, but they are slightly higher in altitude. But this is quite easy and has improved over years.
So it said that in 47 the Indian Army brought
Yeah.
up tanks.
Yes.
along this.
Actually, that's claimed to be a military adventure, a renowned incident in military adventurism, and they managed to pass through tanks and capture the Pakistani positions just on the top of Zojila.
There is a story also now of Shaktiman's falling.
Yes, that's something very terrifying to visualize now. But yes, there was an incident. It is said that in a foggy weather, or weather suddenly turning foggy, many years ago, probably 40 or 50 years ago, a train of military trucks fell down this pass. I don't know how many and what was the casualty, but बहुत सारे लोग ऐसा बोलते
I
हैं.
heard 27 Shaktimans went down, and there was this captain who actually, went down in his jonga to stop the rest of them falling. That's why they call it the
Okay. The Captain
Captain's
Moore.
Mode.
Yeah. Understand. What a change. Earlier we used to have yak loads going, now we have truckloads going. Mehdi coach. So we are closing in into the Dras Bowl, or the Dras Valley you may call. The first village we'll hit is Pandras. It's a Dardi village. So as you advance from Srinagar towards Kargil, the first villages you encounter will be Dardi villages. And after you're done with Dras, Bhimbat, the moment you again start going down the valley, the ethnicity changes from Dardi to Balti. And something very significant about this region is that, sir, this is Red Bear territory.
Okay.
We call it Denmo. Denmo Sa, the Red Bear territory. And very early during the colonial era, the passing adventurists or the tourists, British tourists with interest in big game, used to stop over in this region for red bear hunting. And nowadays we are facing a problem in Dras because the number of red bears has gone up, which is a good news actually. But due to their habitat being shrunk, with the population expanding towards the fringes of the mountains, we are witnessing increased man-animal conflicts in this region. And this year winter also there were many attacks by the red bear in the Dras villages, and attacked the pens and damaged a lot of livestock. That's very sad, but then there are some civil organizations and the wildlife department that are trying to make the population more aware on how to mitigate this problem. So we are in Dras, and this is a very significant point also geophysically, as some geologists believe that the transition from the Himalayas to Karakoram takes place near Dras. Okay, and there is a very specific point, some geologists point out where this transition is noted, and it's a very, very narrow gorge after Prandas. Inshallah, we hope to stop there and film it, and I'll give you a brief on that there. I, to some extent, do agree with that theory. I'm not an expert, but I have a strong feeling that it holds, that this is a transition zone where actually the classical Himalaya end and the Karakoram range starts. Not exactly the Karakoram, actually the southern part of Deosai, which we called Byarsa in Balti, start. And we'll stop at that point and we'll click a picture and give you on-spot narration. But now we are hitting Pandras, inshallah. We have crossed the village of Pandras, which is the second biggest Dardi settlement on the way to Dras. Dras is a very historical place, very important place. It's called Himbabas in ancient texts. In Balti also we call it Himbabas. That is the mother snow land. Now this is a very important geophysical feature here. Some geophysicists and geologists say that the main Himalayan chain coming all the way from Arunachal Pradesh terminates close to this region, and from here the lower Karakoram range starts. Well, it's not, to my understanding, directly the Karakoram range, but the Deosai Plateau and the Deosai Plain start. This is one of the only places in this region where the river goes into a narrow craggy feature which is so squeezed that it can be leapt by an animal. And this is the feature we call the Wolf's Leap. And it is very, very important. It has legends to it, it has stories to it, that any place where a big river can be crossed by a leap, the territory is defined, terminated. So that's a very interesting anecdote. But now we are heading into a main Dras valley, and it will merge on the left side with the valley coming from Mashko, going to Moradbagh, and then across a pass into the upper Kalel region. This is all Red Bear territory, full of Denmos, and you can see patches of green and red. The red is wild rumax that is grown and is probably relished by the bear. If you zoom in, you see a red patch up there. It's a kind of red rumax, wild rumax. we are coming to the land of polo, and one of the legends of polo, I call him the king of Chogan, Mr. Muhammad Amin, who happens to be a dear friend. He's from Dras. So we have entered I call it the Dras Bowl. It is where three valley systems meet. One is the valley coming from Matayan, starting from Zojila. The other towards our left is the valley which is called Mushko, which terminates in Upper Teler. And the third is the main valley and along the river run that goes towards Kargil. It's a very historic place called Himbas in the chronicles, the land of snow, and it has the credit of being one of the coldest permanently inhabited places in the world, which no doubt, because I would put also Rangdum very close to it. Rangdum is terribly cold in winters, and the people here are hardy, very tough people. They're highly skilled horse riders and actually had a monopoly in the trans-Himalayan trade, because they were the people who were highly skilled in negotiating the Zojila under snow conditions. Yeah, and they were called Kiraikash. So Kiraikash, yeah.
For the moment, what is this wall about?
So this was before the ceasefire 20 years ago. This area was usually pounded by artillery from across the border. So this was one of the most vulnerable points, and this was in a way tried to be protected from the artillery shells coming from across the border for a free and a safe passage of motor vehicles. But now it's not needed, because thank God we are having that ceasefire in this region respected since last 20 years. So it's a big sigh of relief for the people living in this region.
So, and would you continue that what you were saying?
The people of this region actually are very hardy, because they are Dardi race people, and they are very skilled horsemen, extremely skilled I would say, and that makes them very good polo players as well. So they have a very typical characteristic. They are stout, short built. They have a long nose, which is a typical characteristic of the Dardi race. Not exactly the Balti, and not at all the Mongolite, who in lighter vein are said to be devoid of the nose. Yeah, so it's a very interesting thing anthropologically. You have the Dardis, who have a very prominent nose. You have the Baltis, which have a middle feature, which have a reasonable nose formation, and then you have the Mongolites, which actually have a very small nose. It's all God's creation. Allah did it to nations, to people, depending on where they would be placed. Makes sense. But the Dardis of Dras are historically known to be very stout and tough people, and it can be guessed from the fact that they survive the extremely, and I'll repeat, extremely harsh winter which befalls this place. And it's not only winter, it's the amount of snow also is very high compared to Kargil, and very, very high compared to Leh, which actually gets very less snow, but of course is cold equally. So this is the Nala coming from Mushko. It has crystal clear water, and we are turning into the main Dras Bazaar. Dras Bazaar has few dabas and few tea stalls, and I always recommend Ali Bhai. Interestingly, he's a Balti, but he's not from Kargil, he's from Uttarakhand. Ali Bhai has a history. When the subcontinent was borderless, a big chunk of Baltis migrated to Uttaranchal, and they still have their colonies there.
Yeah, that's quite interesting.
Yeah, and there is a Balti area in Uttaranchal, and these are the people who have had connections with Skardu, not Kargil also. But now, after the unfortunate partition of the subcontinent, they still want to be connected with their Balti brethren and have opened their businesses in Dras and interestingly in Zanskar.
Okay.
I know of a very good friend, Aga Zakir, who happens to be a Balti from Uttarakhand, and he runs a restaurant in Zanskar since many years.
fantastic.
So this is what I call, in a lighter way, Gora drawn lines did to our beautiful subcontinent. Redcliffe and whatnot. I don't even know their those devilish names. So. So we had a Kehwa and a lemon tea halt at Silmi. It's a place about 25 to 28 kilometers short of Kargil. We are entering the main Kargil valley and we'll be closing on Kaksar, which gets us very close to the Deosai Meadows and the Nala draining from the Burzil Pass. It's a very frontier type decorated rastara. The entrance display is a used exploded shell that has probably been fired from across the border and now decorates the entrance of this tea house. And we had a very tasty paratha with cumin toppings, which I get to have very, very rarely here, and some good lemon tea, and we are back hitting the road. We have left Silmi and now we are approaching Kaksar. And the Kaksar strip is the strip on Dras Kargil road where the line of actual control is the closest. It's probably just a few kilometers as the crow flies. And just beyond this corridor, we have a river coming from the northwest, which comes from a very important and historic pass called the Burzil Pass, and it joins the Dras Nala near Kaksar and then flows further to join the Suru Nala just before Kargil. So the landscape is barren, the sun is hot, and one can really feel the radiation, the UV, which is much higher than the main Kashmir Valley floor hitting your skin here. So the road is smooth, we've got a very little traffic being a Friday, as most of the people would be heading towards the mosques in Kargil, and there's hardly any traffic movement. We will come to a point where the Dras Nala meets the Suru River and takes a northwestern turn towards Skardu, and we can see the old Skardu road also there, and which is now reduced to a foot trail. It was a foot trail only earlier, but quite wide and maintained, but now since 47 it is in a dilapidated condition. But one can drive to about 10 kilometers on that road to the last village on this side of the border, that's called Hubutan, and have a view of the villages on the other side of the border. This is the famous Chanigund village just before Kargil. It's famous for its apricots and the mosque across the river amidst the apricot farms. And you can see the very typical Balti and Dardi system of irrigation, the canal running over the mountain top. So we have reached Kargil. This is a very historic town. It is exactly on the crossroads on main Himalayan trading and travel routes. It's equidistant, nearly equidistant from here to Srinagar in the east, in the west. In south you have Zanskar Padum, and west you have Leh, and north west we have Skardu. In Balti we call it Purek, and the area of the town where we are right now is close to Peon, which is actually the old Kargil, and the area close to the banks used to be caravansarais and trading zones. We had a very famous caravansarai of the Aziz Bhatt family here, which was one of the leading families of Kargil, and they run schools and welfare institutions now. They have converted one of their sarais, that is the current house, into a heritage museum. The valley going to the south is the one to Zanskar, and the valley going to the north is one towards Skardu. You can see Kargil is beautifully located on the slopes of this mountain, and most of the orchards are apricot orchards. As you can see, people have started collecting and drying apricots here on the house roofs. So we will be taking a bypass and directly hitting the road above Kargil, and then touching the very historic village of Pashkum and proceeding further on to Pangral and towards Ladakh.